Peace be upon you. So today I want to talk about how Muhammad is just a man. And specifically, if you read the Quran, God bestows many favors to the other prophets, e.g. Abraham or Moses. So for example, in 20:1, God is saying he has made Moses for himself. Right? The Arabic is وَاسْتَنَعْتُكَ لِنَفْسِي. We've made you. Tanat is like a manufacturing process. So Moses was made specifically for God, right? For a divine purpose. And if you go through the Quran, no such attribution or glorification is applied to Muhammad. In fact, if you go through history, even in the Sunni apologetic history, you'll see that there was diminished emphasis on Muhammad, whether it's his sayings or anything like that, right? There's a hadith, or at least stories that I was told, that they were so afraid to glorify Muhammad Muhammad was so afraid that people would glorify him, that he commanded everyone to destroy any form of written text, any reference to him, his images, his whatever, right? That's the sign to you that he didn't want to be idolized. Now, circle back 1400 years later, here we are with Sunnis glorifying him. Yes, the word is glory. Just because you think you're not adding him as a partner to God doesn't mean it's true. God clarifies in 72:18 and in 9:108, your prayer should be dedicated to God alone. Yet in your final prayer mode, you go, Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, which means peace be upon you, O Prophet. In your shahada, you say, Assalamu, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasul, as if you saw him becoming a messenger. This is untrue. In the Quran, this is repeated 49 times. And in each instance, it's only la ilaha illallah, not just a reference to Muhammad or any other thing. Only God is worthy of worship. And you'll see in the Quran that if you obey the majority, you will end up in hell. 6116, I think 12:103, and also 12:106. God is saying if you obey the majority, you're going to hell. God also specifies in 25:43, and I think it's 45:23, that if you obey your ego, like, have you noted the one whose God is his ego? You also end up in hell. So you have a slipstream of obedience to God. And the only means in which you can obey God is through the Quran. And the only means you can access the Quran is through a messenger, not through yourself, not through the Hadith. Your intercessor, your intermediary of information is incorrect. If you rely on yourself, you're a potato. You're not going to get it right. Even if you're the smartest person on earth. Explain to me what the great feud is in the Quran. Explain to me how that came to be. Why is it that every Quranist in existence prays a different way, or doesn't pray, or doesn't know how to pray? Not one person prays the same way. One faces Petra, the other one says once he's in the mosque, the direction of Qibla doesn't matter. You can do a little loop, circle, and pray in any given direction. They are inconsistent. The religion is unscalable and worthless, realistically. And then you've got the other side of it. The Sunnis saying, oh, how do you know how to pray then without the Hadith? And the truth is, there is not a single Hadith, not one, which showcases to you how to pray properly. The longest Hadith, we've addressed this since, I think, Sunan Abi Dawud in 630. And even then, it's nonsense. It's 6 raka'at. It talks about, it doesn't mention the niyyah. None of those things are there. Not a single Hadith records start to finish the prayer. You learn this through the Millat al-Ibrahim. Quran 16:1-3. ثم أوحينا إليك أن اتبع ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. Back to the point. You weren't told to follow the religion of Muhammad. You were told to follow the religion of Abraham. This is the same thing that Muhammad was told in 40:66. قل إنني هداني قل إني نهيت أن أعبد الذين تدعون من دوننا لما جاءني البينة من ربي وأمرت أن أسلم لرب العالمين. I have been forbidden, enjoined from obeying, following other gods beside God. Min dunillah, the God. And there's no special case to Allah as a word. God clarifies that you can call him by any of the beautiful names. I forgot the verse, but it's in Surah Al-Hashr. Effectively, God is clarifying that call him by the most beautiful names, right? Asma'ul Husna. He possesses all the beautiful names, all of them. There is not a single reference in the Quran where his name, his singular name, his personal hi God, how are you name is Allah. That's not a thing. Now, expanding from that, we have also the apologetics, the Sunni apologetics. They'll say, oh, how did you know where the Quran came from? Right? As if the Hadith compilers, Mr. Bukhari himself, a Persian in, I don't know, glorifying Iraq or Baghdad or whatever. You look in the Hadith, you can see that every single Hadith was driven by a purpose, was driven by a motive to sell you a political story, right? Support the Abbasids or support the Muawiyah when they were having a war. Isn't that coincidental? One Hadith leads you to Shi'ism, another Hadith leads you to Sunni Islam. That's not a coincidence. Then we go back to the same argument, whether it's prayer, whether it's the Quran preservation, whether it's how you fast, doesn't matter. None of this was preserved through Hadith. Not even the Quran was preserved through Hadith. Show me how the Hadith could possibly preserve the Quran. The Hadith came 200 years after Muhammad. 200. We just spoke about how, according to Sunni history, Muhammad himself said, you should not allow anyone to record anything about me, right? Let them prepare a seat in hell. Whoever records a lie about me. Some versions it says, who deliberately records a lie about me. Now you have to understand, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, none of these caliphs preserved the Hadith, not one. They diminished the Hadith. It didn't exist until the Muwatta, which was 170 years later. And the whole point is that they made concerted efforts to preserve the Quran. And the Quran, as God says at 59, is God who will preserve it. And this is the concerted effort confirmed by the Birmingham manuscript, which dates the actual Mus'haf, the piece of paper there, back to the date in, I think it's 610 CE or something like this. I'm not sure on the actual precise period, but it's around there. And so they didn't preserve the Quran. Sorry, they didn't preserve the Hadith. They definitely preserved the Quran, which is why you have it today, which is why there are so little variations. There are variations in the Quran, but there are little variations. They canonized it. They worked hard to make sure it happened. Right? Uthman elected a committee headed by Zayd ibn Thabit to confirm that this Quranic scripture was preserved and proliferated to all the communities that eventually accepted Islam. This didn't happen to Hadith. Hadith was just a confusion generated by each political party wanting to assert dominance. As if I said, oh, my dad can beat your dad. You're like, oh no, my dad can fly an aeroplane and he can beat your dad. It's the same thing. They're like, oh, I heard this from the Prophet. That's it, game over, right? And out of all the Hadith compilations, 600,000 apparently that was collated by Bukhari, he saved 7,000 of them. With repeats, there was only 2,000 left, 2,000 something left. And in his own biography, he says that he would get letters from his relatives and he would forget to respond. But then later he says, whenever I got knowledge, is it rarely or I never forgot knowledge? He would memorize from 1,000 teachers, 10,000 hadith. That's 10 million hadith. You could write for 23 years straight, this hadith, start to finish. Forget breathing, forget food, forget water, forget sleep. It would take you 23 years just to write 10 million hadith to his own account. And he would remember not just the hadith, the matan, the content, the purity of this beautiful garbage. He would also remember the isnad. He would remember every person that ever spoke. Even Ikrimah, who lied to his master, Ibn Abbas, which I think, I don't know which way I'm going to post this video, but it was there. Anyway, that was my 10-minute marker. But to recap, ultimately, the prophets, all of them, the Nabi, the Rasul, Every single one of them were humans, just like you and me. In 18110, Muhammad was commanded to say, Qul, I am only a human being like you. There's only one mission. In 2125, we never sent any messenger before you without inspiring him. There is no God except me. Worship me alone, God alone. So stop idolizing the prophets. Worship God alone. Come to our server if you want to hash some beef out.